Hello. I was going to say happy Sunday then, but just hello. I'm just seeing myself for the first time today. I look awful with bits of paint on me. That's a good sign that it's like war wounds without the blood and scars. Just a bit of paint. Weird morning today. Let's just address the battery 1 second. It wasn't, the charging stopped working. Right, I'm probably going to need to tune back in a second. The battery's almost certainly going to die. Because of Mercury retrograde, no matter what I do, if they're new, if they're not, after one use they seem to be disposable. But yeah, they're not charging. So, alright, well, I'm going to let the stream go. The battery's going to die. I just won't accept the charger. Oh, right. It says we've just caught it, but I've only got 1%, so it still might die. Yeah. Just the pressure's off a bit. Well, I don't want to say the pressure's off a bit, but what it is where things have been so stressed. I've been running on cortisol like 24/7. There's not a moment in my life I can label or resembles life in the from normality. From normality you don't. If you need to eat, for instance, you can sit down and eat. If you need to go to the toilet, you can sort of go to the toilet, and they don't feel wrong. But I'm sort of, to a certain extent, this is what we all do on some level anyway, given the world, but I'm working my way through everything. Like, to eat is work, to go to the toilet is work, to go for a walk is work, to sit down and watch YouTube is work. And there's no real element of anything in my body. Softness, kindness, and despite how I look, I'm more of a woman than a man, and I really appreciate those elements to life as much as I'm more than happy getting mucky and doing some DIY if the original elements are in place originally. So in other words, if I'm resting, then I'm happy to exert myself, but I'm not happy to exert myself if I'm not resting. I guess that's what makes me a woman rather than a man. Because I'm still a man, we're a bit of an idiot. And that's how I've gone about life. My whole life, just exert. Don't worry about rest. Or at least, don't worry about it. Rest will always be there for me when I need. And just a positive mind is where it's at to get me through. But my mind is less than positive at the moment. And from what I've learnt from life, it's taught me to rest first and then exert. Unless we absolutely have to, and life is saying to me I absolutely have to at the moment. So that's where I'm at. But the good thing is, I think, that I'm working my way through the cortisol. I'm working my way through the torture of this year. I'm working my way through the side effects of the last course of antipsychotics I took. And I'm years away from getting to the final place, but I've got no choice but to work my way through it. It's just what's on my plate, and I've got to grab at it the best I know, don't I? So that's what I'm doing there. And I'm sitting here at the flat. Well, I'm sitting here at the boat flat, shed. And I'm looking at all the little things that need to get done and prioritising them in my mind, because that's how I rest at the moment, to look at the work that needs to be done and prioritise it from being a total mess. And the relief that gives me is rest. That's how I'm resting. And I'm looking at the work that needs to be done, and what's happening is where all the jobs up until now have been a case of, the fundamentals, structural, really thinking about logistics in terms of the boat and loading it and blah blah blah. From how I've found the boat at the moment, because it's a mess, but I'm trying my best. It's an organised mess to a certain extent, but I'm hitting the more enjoyable. I'm finding the more enjoyable parts of the boat now. The work of the boat. Not that the hard logistical parts were unpleasant, because I like DIY, and I've come to appreciate the application of mindfulness. And if you've got, there's no difference dirty boat to painting it, in terms of being present in the moment and doing the job. Alright, when you finish painting it, the boat looks clean. Well, the boat looks like a nice colour. The same when you clean a boat. It looks like a mess before, and when you clean it, it looks a lot cleaner, as much as it's not the final part. So that's the difference. So what I'm getting at is all the work that needs to be done to the boat is like neither here nor there for me. I just want to be present in the moment and be present with what I'm doing. And that's it. When you're present with what you're doing, you do it to a standard that you see appropriate, whether that's cutting corners or not, whether it's being absolutely anal about, a perfect task or not. But you get something from just being present with life, and that's what I appreciate at any stage, whether it's the nicer elements or the non-nicer elements. But either way, I can't deny the bits of work that I'm seeing for the first time are like, this is how the boat's going to look on a presentation level. For instance, I've rested a big quartz worktop slab behind the stove, which is going to be like a stove backing, but it's loose at the moment. And it sort of needs fixing into place because, it needs fixing into place. It's a small job. I'm thinking, well, how do I go about it? And I looked at it and I've seen how, and all I do with final presentation is like with interior decorating for myself, it's like I use it on a creative sort of level. So I just look at all the parts that I have, all the tools I have, not wanting to spend any more money, not a pound more. How can I get that job done, given everything I have, to the utmost standard, and make it look as nice as possible as well? And I said to myself, oh, I've got a bit of bamboo. If I just put a bit of bamboo across the top in a certain way, fix the bottoms in place, it'd be a really, really nice, simple job, and it really look quite nice. And I see that as the F1 stage, because with F1, what I liked about the sport was that there's a lot of luck in it. There's a lot of applied theory, applied logic to luck. You're dealing with elements of weather, you're dealing with elements of opponents having crashes, and when opponents have a crash, if it's serious enough, it can alter the race in a certain way, and if it alters the race in a certain way, you can gain or lose positions, and there are all of these things to think about with F1 that, say, isn't so present in football, for instance, when the competition is a bit more ridiculous. You've got some teams valued at £1 billion, and others that in the same competition that probably don't even hit 100 million. So it's a ridiculous disparity in football, and there isn't so much room for luck within that. I mean, if it rains, it doesn't really matter so much. The players just have to carry on and play in the rain. All right, you might change the tactics of the sport to the weather, but ultimately it shouldn't really affect you as much as being out in the open in an F1 where friction and the rubber and the tyres and all of that is fundamental. So that's what I saw and enjoyed in F1. It was the luck element, and seeing how just any given Sunday, the favourites could win, and most of the time they do, but how the luck interplays with the sport and alters the final standings. And if it just looks like a standard race in F1, and it's known for a track with not much taken over, and I've watched half of it, and it's pretty much bog standard and the favourites are winning, I'll turn it off. I'm not going to endure the boredom of that day, but on the whole, there is a bit of luck and applied luck, and room for smaller teams to come out on top in a race on occasion. But yeah, that's what I see about the work at the moment, because this is kind of how I did interior design for myself at the flat. It was just like, right, how can we make this look good? How can we make it creative? How can I do it on no budget, minimal budget? How can I make it even more practical than it would otherwise be. You know, just those sort of ideas, and just using what we come up with a solution. And it's the same sort of thing, the same idea from my perspective, in that I'm just working with what I've got. I'm trying to make it as best as possible. And where I would watch luck, I'm sort of watching luck in a different way, because I didn't plan for that stove backing in any way. It's like, as I went along, I collected that big quartz slab out of a skip because I knew I would need, well, backing for the stove, and I've collected other smaller bits. I didn't know how much I'd need. I didn't know how it would all go together. I didn't have any idea. And now's the time where all of this stuff is going to start going together. All right, I need a penny more. There are more fundamental necessities calling for my energy in life. But at the same time, we all like stuff to look pretty. Be prettier than quite fixed into place. Yeah.